Wearing that face mask, had a broken nose earlier this season. You see the starting five for the Hurricanes as they turn it over. No ACC tournament experience in that starting five for Miami. Hurricanes did not make the tournament last year. And they got a little extra time to get settled in here in Georgia since they just played at Georgia Tech in their last regular season game. Starting five for the Stanford Cardinal. Nuna Aguera is back. As Kelly said, she missed 5 games. Cardinal have had to adjust after losing their starting point guard, Talana Lapolo. And they've switched things around a couple of times. Aguera takes that first shot.
It's so good for Stanford to have Nunu Aguera back. She makes them so different. She's one of the best players in the ACC, an all-ACC performer, and they need her. Let's see, with Aguera back in the fold, the 3 games they've won in a row heading into this tournament, if Stanford can make a little run.
Courtney Ogden and Haley Swain connect on this play, and those are the 2 Georgia natives. Expect they've got some good fans in the crowd cheering them on here.
It is very easy to tell who Haley Swain's family is. You've got some number 2 jerseys in the stands. A lot of fans jumping up and down when she made that 3. And she's starting to shoot the ball well from beyond the arc.
Raviv had it blocked out of bounds.
Haley Swain, one of the super talented freshmen on this Stanford roster, and there's quite a few, but she's coming off a career-high 20 points against Clemson. Kate Pay is pumped. She's an all-ACC freshman team performer along with her fellow freshman, Lara Shamfai.
Raviv got herself some space, got the bucket to follow. Raviv, transfer from Quinnipiac, was the MAC player of the year last year as a freshman.
Gal Raviv is a bucket. If you're wanting to find a player that can score one-on-one and score at all 3 levels, keep an eye on number 14 in white.
You mentioned a couple of the talented freshmen on this Stanford team, but Aguera, so strong getting to the basket.
I'm impressed with Stanford's energy. They look like they want to be here for a while and win some games. And keep in mind, it is 8 a.m. Pacific. This is an 11 a.m. Eastern start, a very early start time for Stanford, whose bodies are generally on Pacific time.
Aguera ready to run is whistled for the travel. And Kate Pay, her second season as head coach after taking over for the legendary Tara Vanderveer, someone she knows well, having been on her staff, having played for Tara at Stanford. And she said, look, we know, we've heard the story about how early the tip-off's going to be, all the travel, but we've dealt with travel all year. It's not an issue. And she kind of ended that discussion.
And coaches have to do that. I think specifically Kate Pay and Charmin Smith. You can't make it an issue because you can't give your student athletes a reason to have an excuse. And that's all these players know. So many young players for Stanford. Most of them have only played in the ACC, so they're used to it, and they know how to embrace the challenge.
Kimpson goes inside to Kyle, patient in the paint. Miami trying to get the taste out of their mouth of their last game, a loss at Georgia Tech by 30. The Hurricanes had won 4 in a row before that game. Hope they can get a little bit of that mojo back. Shumpai, freshman from Australia, over now to Ogden. And she is fouled and going to the free throw line. It's the bucket as a bonus.
These ATL kids, they have shown up, Jen. They're ready to play. Courtney Ogden from Atlanta, Georgia. Dribble pull up with the contact. Ogden, best overall shooter on this team. So smooth, averaging nearly 14 points per game over her last 3. She's one of the rare upperclassmen on this team, but I like the steps she's taken in her game this season.
"12 points per game, as you mentioned, shooting over 50% for the season, nearly 36% from 3, and woo, that's a shooter's touch on the free throw. Friendly spin off the rim. 8-4, Stanford lead. Kimpson had it tapped out of the air. Aguera's arms just so long, filling up the space defensively. Ogden feeling hot, no.
Feels like Stanford's length is bothering Miami a bit. They're trying to get the ball inside, trying to get the ball to Rashay Kyle. And that's a good entry pass. Quick double from Stanford, but Kyle finds a way, Jen.
Didn't matter. Rashea Kyle going to work on the inside for Miami.
This is excellent patience from the 6'6" senior. She knows the double's coming, gives it a chance. Ogden has to go back and find her man. It was just going to be kind of a quick double and then return. And I love Kyle's patience. That's one of the keys when you're used to drawing double teams like Rashea Kyle is. This is her 6th year of college basketball. She knows she's going to get a double. She's figured out how to handle it.
3 years at the University of Florida, started her career, spent 2 years at Purdue before that, and now playing with a sense of urgency in this, her final year of college basketball. Has had some injury issues throughout. But Trisha Cullop telling me yesterday she is a big reason why we are here. Hurricanes made a trip out west to Stanford and Cal, needed to win one last year to make the tournament, didn't. Now get this Stanford team here in the opener. Shomfai driving to the basket. Well, Danielle Osho, the freshman for Miami, gave up a bit of height to Shomfai. Didn't matter, defended her well. Tried to spring the three on the other end. Anae Adams, 5'6" sophomore for Miami, the glue of this Hurricane team, pulls up and hits.
Tough shot from Anae Adams, the Energizer Bunny. Coach Cullop has referred to her, and she's coming up. Even though Miami struggled against Georgia Tech, Adams played well in that game.
Shomfai, short corner. Raviv for three, drains it, gives Miami the lead.
Rashea Kyle was out of the play. She was fixing her knee brace, so Miami just scored on Stanford in a 4-on-5 situation, and that's what having a player like Raviv, who has unlimited range, can do.
Should say extends their lead. Had it by 1, now by 4 on the 3 from Raviv. It's hard to do math early in the day, Kelly. We're all adjusting. 8 on the shot clock for Ogden. Inside, Shomfai going over Kyle, just stood her ground.
When you're 6'6", you don't need to do much. You need to be a presence and get your hands up. You're going to alter a lot of shots.
Miami has had 4 straight stops on the defensive end to extend their lead here. 5 on the shot clock. Kyle goes down. I think Ogden's going to get whistled for the foul. Kyle a little slow to get up here. And Miami up 4 early.
Gal Raviv, it may be early here in Gas South Arena, but Raviv is ready to go. Give me all 3 of those.
And now let's see what Stanford needs to do for a better outcome, brought to you by T. Rowe Price.
They are in the first 4 out according to our Charlie Cream. They have to win, first and foremost. I think win today, win another game, and then perhaps win. If they win 1 more, I mean, if they get all the way to the semifinals, then we're talking. But I think if they win 2, and Nebraska and Mississippi State, they both play today, Jen. If they both lose in the first round, that could help Stanford as well, and maybe not have them have to do as much here in Duluth. So if you're a Stanford fan, you want to keep an eye on the Big Ten, SEC, and Big 12 tournaments with Colorado. They don't play for a couple days.
10-0 run by the Hurricanes, helped by Candace Pettigrew off the bench for those last 2. Winner of this game will face the 5 seed Notre Dame tomorrow. Pull up. Stanford needs to get something going on the offensive end of the floor. Got a couple of offensive rebounds from their freshman, Alex Eschmeyer. It's been a struggle outside of really Agera driving and the 2 Georgia girls who were hitting early. Trisha Cullop in her 2nd season at Miami, 26th season overall. Ton of success, 16 seasons at Toledo prior to coming to Coral Gables.
And by the way, with Miami, their net is 58, so they're not necessarily in an at-large discussion for the NCAA tournament, but they are above 500. I could see Miami getting into a postseason tournament and being able to gain some more momentum, play some more of their young players, looking at the WNIT or other tournaments of that nature. So that's got to be a goal for Miami, and winning today would help them tremendously in that regard.
For Miami, 2nd straight year that Trisha Cullop has had 11 newcomers. Just incredible turnover year by year in Miami. Raviv off on that three-point attempt. Chloe Clardy is a good spark off the bench for the Cardinal. Got the break going up to Ijiwoye.
That's 3 straight misses right at the rim for Stanford.
Raviv left open, says, I'll hit that. She's got 8.
And that's a 5-point swing. You miss that layup, it's an off bounce, so Miami gets it, goes the other way, hits a 3. That's a tough break for Stanford to come back from.
Stanford getting some looks, but just off so far.
And settling for a lot of threes. Jen, Stanford, they're 16th in the ACC in three-point shooting. They shoot 29% from 3. And I feel like they are settling for threes too much early in this game.
Cardinal have missed now their last 10 shots, scoring drought of over 4 minutes in the game. Meredith Tipner, freshman, keeping the possession alive on the glass for Miami. Six on the shot clock. Raviv winds up calling her own number. That falls right into the hands of Tipner, who is, it's gonna be a jump ball actually called.
Miami continuing to attack the offensive glass. Raviv, give it up, get it back. No defense there, no one finding Gal Raviv. She's a bucket for Miami. You need to know where she is, and she's been quite the spark plug for the Canes. She has as many points as Stanford so far in this first quarter.
Another tie-up, this time as Miami tried to get it back to Kyle inside. 3 points in the game so far for the Hurricanes' leading scorer, averages 16.5 to go along with 10 boards, amongst some of the best numbers in the ACC. Swain, part of this talented freshman class for Stanford, as is Shomfai. But Kyle's defense did enough.
Kyle is a force. We talked about it in the open. She has a presence at 6'6". You're not used to playing against a player of her size with that wingspan, so you have to adjust. And Shomfai struggling early against Rashea Kyle inside.
Kyle not struggling at all. She has 5. Cardinals started 3 of 5, but have gone 0 for 10 since.
Since Miami has forced Stanford to play in the half court, Stanford has struggled to execute.
I feel like Stanford needs a little more of that. Nunu Aguirre has 4. Got to get her going. She averages 15, had 24 points in Stanford's last game. A massive win, 85-50 against the Clemson Tigers. Biggest margin of victory in an ACC game this season. In fact, their last 2 games, both 30-plus wins. That's the kind of confidence and momentum Stanford's coming in here with. Ogden, too strong.
We've talked about Stanford's freshmen. Miami also has a very young team. 4 top 100 freshmen, as Trisha Cullip's trying to get her culture in place and get some of these kids in. And her base class, I think, is this young freshman class for Miami.
Tipner, who took that last 3, part of that freshman class. A couple of dribbles, and eventually Swain takes her shot.
A lot of one-on-one for Stanford in the half court. That's something Trisha Cullip wanted to try to force the Cardinal into. Miami has executed their defensive game plan very well in this first quarter.
Miami had 5 double figures in their win against Stanford on February 19th. 66-51, the final score in that game. 9-point Hurricane advantage here in the first. See if Stanford can get something positive out of this last possession of the first quarter. Turnaround from Aguirre is tough over Kyle. It goes empty. And a slow start for Stanford here in Duluth, Georgia, opening up our ACC Tournament. Second quarter coming your way after this break.
Miami finished that quarter on a 15-2 run. Gal Raviv got them going from the outside, little inside out with Rashea Kyle. It was all Miami early in this game. Let's take a look at Rashea Kyle. Look how she's fighting for position. A great angle here, holds her seal on the freshman, Lara Shumfayi, and a good pass from her fellow freshman, Tipner, inside to Rashea Kyle. She's a force. We've talked about it. If she gets that type of positioning and there's no help side, Jen, it is a wrap.
You feel that veteran experience, someone who has been on a big stage before, thinking about having played in the SEC with Florida and the SEC Tournament, obviously then with Purdue to start her career. So Rashea Kyle, no stranger to the big stage and playing like a veteran out here early today. Gets the first bucket of the second.
Stanford brought a double early in the first quarter, but the last couple of possessions, they have guarded Rashea Kyle single coverage with their true freshman. Rashea Kyle is going to score in that type of situation, Jen, and she continues to do so in the lanes. And we'll see if Stanford starts bringing more of a double, but this is Rashea Kyle inside on the true freshman Eschmeyer. She takes her time, strong dribble to the right, and scores.
Yeah, Miami just took it away. Stanford's offensive struggles continue. Missed 14 of their last 15 shots in the first quarter. It was their lowest scoring first quarter of the season. Not the way you want to start off an ACC tournament.
Nunu Aguirre's got to get some more touches. She's been your most consistent scorer all season long. Got to find a way to get her more involved. And Courtney Ogden, outside of Aguirre, she's probably been the second most consistent. And that's a good sign. Stanford desperately needed to see the ball go through the net.
Yeah, she has 6 now. Ogden, the junior from Atlanta, Georgia. Clardy, player who really stepped up when LaPolo went out midway through this season, took over the starting point guard duties, but they like her spark coming off the bench. Deep 3 from Raviv with the shot clock winding down. And another offensive rebound. Miami's been good on the glass.
5-0 boards. It just feels like more hustle from Miami to grab some of those long offensive rebounds.
It was Victoria Blazic, the USF transfer on that last shot attempt for Miami. No slip for Ogden. 3 up and in. Back-to-back buckets now for the Cardinal.
The 3 ball can always get you back in a basketball game. Desperately needed for Stanford.
That was the freshman Eschmeyer. One of 3 lefties on the Stanford team, along with Swain and Aguirre. Raviv driving through traffic, doesn't matter.
Raviv has come to play. This is an exciting young player for Miami, only a sophomore. She's had an exceptional year, but I can't wait to see her continue to grow in Tricia Cullip's system.
Yeah, Raviv played really well for Quinnipiac in their run to the championship game in the MAC last season. She was named MVP, and look, the shooting has come alive now for Stanford in the second quarter.
You know I love to see that, Jen, and Courtney Ogden's family, the Atlanta native, they're loving it too.
Ogden now 9 points in the game. It's a 9-2 Stanford run, pulling a bit closer. Need a stop on this end, and they get it. Ogden thought about it, got a little closer, wanted to look for Eschmeyer. That is going to be a foul on Miami. Chance for a 3-point play.
Excellent decision by Courtney Ogden to pump fake and then get it inside, but here's her threes. She has come alive in this second quarter, and Ogden somehow getting that ball out. Eschmeyer knocks it down. The 3 ball is big time right now for the Stanford Cardinal. 3 for 3 from beyond the arc in this quarter.
And on the season, Stanford under 30% from 3. Not typically a weapon that they're able to rely on all that often.
They hit 3 threes total in their first game against Miami. They've already hit 4 today.
Turnover by the Hurricanes. Stanford's made their first 4 from the floor in this second quarter. Completely different feel than that low-scoring first quarter for the Cardinal. Swain pulls up here at the free throw line. Tell you what, Adams at 5'6" has already snagged a couple of rebounds. I always give them a little extra credit when you're, I don't know, 5'6" or lower. Grabbing rebounds out there in the tall trees.
Trees, I see what you did there, Jen.
Yeah, I did. I do love the Stanford tree, which is hanging out on the baseline. There he is. They. There it is.
There it is. I have to add, I saw the Stanford tree trying to enter the building this morning, and the tree was trying to go through the metal detector, but it was too tall. They tried to lower the top of their tree and couldn't do it, so they had to go around. Didn't get to go through the metal detector. It was really funny to watch.
Oh, our mascot stories just amuse me. Adams, brave on that attempt from the paint. She already has 6. Ogden. Stanford playing with the confidence we expected to see early on in this game. Getting a little bit more here in the second quarter.
And Nay Adams, another big rebound for her. Grabs that board, leads the break.
She's got 5. Steps in for the shot. Steps into that beautiful court, by the way. I love the look that the ACC has created for this tournament here in Duluth this year.
You know I love purple, Jen, and I love the different details. Go on the ACC social media if you haven't and see the different details of honoring the past tournaments. It's really cool to see that legacy coming together here in the longest running women's basketball tournament in the country.
And the first time ever at a neutral site outside the Carolinas. That 3 goes for Kimson. Her first points of the game.
Both teams shooting really well in the second quarter. Feels like the first quarter was feeling each other out, maybe feeling out this new arena, new court. Second quarter, let it fly.
Love it. Let's keep it going. Swain does just that. She's averaged 17 points per game over the last 2, looking to continue that type of a performance here back in her home state, originally from Marietta, Georgia. Wetzel had it tapped away by Ogden. Courtney Ogden on the break, easy 2. Stanford makes it a 4-point game now.
Ogden is so fun to watch. 11 points for her, active defensively, such good size, but can handle the ball on the perimeter. She's an all-around player.
Stanford believing they have something to fight for here. Obviously want to make their mark in a new conference, new tournament, just a second year in the ACC. Raviv once again with the shot clock winding down. Her 3 misses, and Aguera all the way. How about that handle?
Such a good decision from Nunu Aguera to take her time in transition, hit that floater pull up to avoid the charge. But how about Courtney Ogden? The spark for Stanford in the second quarter. 11 points in the game, playing in front of her hometown crowd. The Atlanta, Georgia native is ready to go. Had seeds outside of the 1 and 2 line win it, even though the majority of the time the 1 or 2 seed has won it, but Duke was the 3 seed when they won it last year. And of course, since we went to this format, the double bye is so important because this tournament has expanded with a number of teams in the league. But hey, you do need a double bye if history says anything, but it is possible. Notre Dame as a 5 seed is a team that I'm looking at that could make a run. And a team that made a run a few years ago, Miami, was a 7 seed and made a run to the championship game.
Yeah, it was 2022.
Destiny Harden hit what felt like 7 game winners in that tournament.
Big bucket there by Shomfai for her first points of the game, and Stanford takes the lead.
This has been a 3-point barrage from Stanford. They are 5 of 7 from 3 in the second quarter.
They've looked completely different. Miami, though, with the answer from Kimson.
This has been a fun just start to this tournament, very back and forth. Stanford made a run, Miami punched back. It's been great. Both teams have handled the other team's runs well.
Much more efficient possessions and back-to-back triples for the freshman from down under.
Stanford, who are you? 7 of 12 from 3. They shoot 29% on the year. This is fun to watch.
Kelly, what is different about this Stanford team in the second quarter?
They're shooting with confidence. I felt like it was a lot of one-on-one. They weren't quite sure which shots they were looking for in the first quarter. And then that's how basketball can go, Jen. When you start to see some shots go through the net, that confidence can get contagious. And it feels like Courtney Ogden started it all, and then that confidence is trickling down to others, with Shumfai hitting a few, Haley Swain as well, those 2 freshmen for Stanford. Things have just started going Stanford's way. When you start making shots, that half court starts to open up a bit for you and your offense.
Stanford 5 for the last 5 from the floor. Lead swinging back and forth over the last few possessions. Can Stanford take it back? You betcha!
That was a great decision by Courtney Ogden in the pick and roll. Miami committed to Aguera inside. She looked that pass off, hit her shooter in the corner for a 3-ball. Stanford, it continues. When it rains, it pours, Jen. We know that. It rains a lot down here in the Southeast, and Stanford's finding that out.
3rd triple for Haley Swain.
And take a look at this. This is a ball screen action with Shumfai and Courtney Ogden. Shumfai's going to roll. That's where everyone thinks the ball's going to go. But Ogden's going to look out here to Haley Swain and look off the defender. So Shumfai's in the ball screen action. Help side comes over. Haley Swain wide open, and she makes them pay.
Stanford averages 5.5 threes per game. They have made 7 this quarter. Swain all the way into the basket. The 2 works as well.
Basketball is a game of runs, Jen. And this Stanford team, if you just take the team that what they looked like in the first quarter compared to the second quarter, it looks like 2 completely different basketball teams.
Under a minute to play in our first half. Our studio crew, they're getting ready. They're in their zone, getting prepped over there. Thanks, guys. I'm glad you're paying attention. They'll have you covered all tournament long.
Coach gave us the royalty wave. Didn't really even turn her head. Just, hey, I'm here.
Coach Muppet McGraw, Kai Crutchfield, Kelsey Riggs-Cup standing by for you at halftime. 6 seconds on the shot clock. We are getting a foul called. See which Stanford player is the guilty party. Looks like it is Shumfai, her first. A lot of contact going on, and that's going to be a battle to watch. Kyle and Aguera on the inside. Aguera getting called here for a second personal just seconds before halftime.
Stanford, for the most part, has stayed out of foul trouble. They've handled Kyle from a foul perspective, but as you just mentioned, and that is her second, you don't really want that to happen right before half. Looks like Coach Pay will take Aguera out for this final possession, or these final 35 seconds, just to be safe.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, if you're Miami, don't you go right back to Kyle? They may still do that. Such a great option on the inside. Kyle calling for it, gets it. Eschmeyer, the freshman, trying to defend. Nothing to do there.
And that's the difference between a veteran in Nunu Aguera guarding Rashea Kyle, and then you bring in your true freshman Eschmeyer, who's got great size, but Rashea Kyle's been playing college basketball for 6 years, okay? She knows a thing or two about winning her matchup in a one-on-one situation.
11 points for Kyle. Raviv has 12, leading the way for Miami. Stanford, though, what a second quarter from the Cardinal. Ogden, a huge part of that. Tough shot. That one won't fall, but plenty of them did. Stanford had made 7 in a row before that miss, and they have a 2-point lead at the half. Not a bad way to get the day started, to get this Ally ACC Women's Basketball Tournament started. Now let's get you over to Kelsey and the crew. Welcome back to the 2026 Ally ACC Women's Basketball Tournament. You are looking at Duluth, Georgia. First time ever in the state of Georgia for this ACC Women's Tournament, the longest running ACC Women's Tournament in the country. We have one half down so far, and what a half it was. Jen Hildreth Kelly Gramlich, Miami led by as many as 13, Kelly, in that first quarter, but second quarter, Stanford came alive.
Sometimes we have slow starts in the tournament, maybe the first game, feeling each other out. It was raining threes. It was so much fun to watch, especially in that second quarter. Both teams are bringing it offensively, Jen.
Well, time now for our Food Lion Food for Thought. What you got, Kelly?
Let's take a look at what happened in this first half. And I thought this play for Stanford was tremendous. The pick and roll action with Shumfai and Ogden. Shumfai's going to roll. That's where the defense thinks that ball is going. But Haley Swain, who is shooting the ball really well from three, is in the corner. When her defender helps off on this pick and roll trying to stop Shumfai, Ogden makes a great decision, hits Swain for the three ball. One of Stanford's 8 threes in the first half. And then Rashea Kyle, she's been dominant inside, 11 points, 3 rebounds. Will Stanford continue to try to guard her one-on-one? There's no help side here. You got to respect Kimpson's three-point shot. And Rashea Kyle has been dominating one-on-one matchups. Does Stanford bring more double teams in the second half, Jen? I'm very curious to see.
A lot to look out for here, and remember, Stanford currently on the bubble, according to our Charlie Cream, amongst the first 4 out. So if they can make some noise, win a couple of games here in Duluth, maybe they can change that fate for the NCAA tournament, get back to where they feel they belong. Missed it last year for the first time since 1988. Shumfai hit a couple of threes in the second quarter.
You know what the worst thing is for a hot shooting team, Jen?
Halftime.
Halftime. I hated halftime, especially when I was shooting the ball well in the first half. So we'll see if these teams can continue to be hot after sitting back there for 20 minutes.
See, Kelly, I do listen to you.
You do.
I've learned
You do.
throughout the years.
Or maybe I just say that all the time, because I really do hate halftime.
Kimpson had her hands on the basketball, couldn't quite come away with the steal. Shea Ijiwoye in some trouble. Does manage it to get it out to Ogden. 10 on the shot clock now. And Miami had that covered all the way, but it's going to wind up being a tie-up. Be Miami ball.
How about the defensive effort from Miami? And Nay Adams just flying all over the place. And Kimpson involved getting that tie-up. I love that effort from Miami, the urgency, knowing they have to be better defensively than they were in the first half.
Their defense played a big part in their victory against Stanford a couple of weeks ago in Coral Gables. They forced Stanford into 17 turnovers, and Kyle has her first points of the third.
And there's the adjustment. Stanford brought the double team, but Kyle, with her patience and her poise, went opposite, made her move opposite the double team, and was able to get a good look.
13 points now for Rashea Kyle. 6th-year player in her final year of eligibility. Patient, waited for Raviv. Meanwhile, if Stanford is going to make some noise, they're going to need some of their freshmen to help them do that. Swain had 11 points in the first half. Ogden also had 11. And then, of course, you can't forget your sophomore, Nunu Aguera. She'll have to continue to put up some points as well. She has 8. Kyle. Good passer from the post as well. Tricia Cullop said that's a trait that definitely makes her hard to defend.
Stanford thought about the double. Kyle beat the double on the previous possession. Some teams have a rule, if she's not low enough, you don't bring the double. So because she was off of the block, Stanford didn't bring the double on that situation, and then Shumfai bucket on the other end.
We had 6 lead changes in the first half. Tied up now at 43. Winner of this game moves on to face the 5 seed Notre Dame tomorrow. Miami getting some good looks inside, unable to finish them off. Swain is fouled on her way to the basket.
Jim, we talked about what was Miami going to do when Stanford brought a double if they did so. So keep an eye inside on Rashea Kyle and Nunu Aguera. They're going to get the ball inside to Kyle. The double comes. Shumfai comes. Great poise by Kyle to realize the double's coming on her left, so she makes a move to the middle of the paint, and then she passed out of it again. Stanford hasn't doubled since that first possession, so perhaps they're going to keep playing with it and trying to keep Kyle on her toes, but that was a great job by Rashea Kyle handling that double team.
Ogden Passes up her look for Swain. Fourth triple of the game for Haley Swain.
Haley Swain is starting to come alive from three-point land. You can tell how talented she is. Her numbers have been fantastic all season. The three-point shot has been inconsistent, but now that she's starting to hit it consistently, I don't know how you guard her, Jen, because she can get to the rim and she's so athletic off the bounce.
Simpson, tough shot, makes it anyway. She has 8. For Swain, her dad, Robert, basketball player, owns the Swain Basketball Academy in the Atlanta area. I'm sure those academy students enjoy watching what Haley Swain is doing right now, and that's another member of this highly talented freshman class for Stanford, Alex Eschmeyer, getting the 2.
These freshmen are fun to watch, and Ogden hits Eschmeyer inside. Eschmeyer takes her time, uses the right hand, left-handed player, collects herself, finishes. 6'5" Eschmeyer. She was a big-time recruit, top 25 recruit in the 25 class. Swain and Shumfai were both top 15 recruits. This was the number 3 recruiting class in the country. And they have scored nearly 40% of Stanford's points this season.
Yeah.
They're learning, you know, by fire, right? Trial by fire for Stanford. And I think you're seeing some of that come to fruition in this game.
Stanford had a stretch where they had 3 freshmen start for 5 games in a row when Aguero was out. See what Kyle does here. What she's been doing all day long so far, finishing at the rim.
She has been so good in one-on-one situations. When Stanford keeps one player there, doesn't bring the double, guards her one-on-one, Rashea Kyle is going to score.
3 from the corner won't go. Just to give you some context, Stanford, prior to those 5 games this year where they had the 3 freshmen starting, had only had 3 games in the previous 40 years with 3 freshmen starting. But right now, freshmen or otherwise, they have to figure out how to defend number 0.
The ACC in general has struggled to guard number 0 all season. Rashea Kyle, first team all ACC, and you're seeing that.
Here's that Miami defense going to work. Osho off the steal, turns it into 2.
Coach Cullip told us she thought their press was effective against Stanford in the first meeting. Stanford had 17 turnovers in that game. See if the Cardinal have learned from those mistakes.
Ogden had it poked away momentarily by Kimson, but that Miami defense helping their cause along with what Kyle is doing inside.
A 6-0 run from the Miami Hurricanes. You guard her one-on-one, she's number 0. That's a zero-sum game, folks. She's going to score inside the big center for Miami. How about some defense? The Canes feeling good in round 1.
Oh yeah, that's intense. And that's what it's all about as we take a look at our Ally ACC Women's Tournament bracket. Getting you going here. The top 4 seeds will be in action in the quarterfinals on Friday. Will our champion come from that top 4 or perhaps someone from the outside?
Since we've gone to this format, our champion has always come from the top 4. But on the men's side, you did have Duke win it one year as a 5 seed. So it has happened since the ACC has expanded. If there's any year it could happen, I feel like it could be this year with the way Notre Dame's playing. Also, the 6 seed Virginia Tech. Keep an eye on them, Jen. We had their game on Sunday against Virginia. They're hot right now, too.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for momentum as you head into the postseason. And a lot of contact there for Lara Shumfai. She is fouled going to the basket. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Odds makers say Duke with the best chance, but 37%. Louisville right behind them. Obviously, those 2 teams right at the top of the ACC. They were both unbeaten until they played each other to start off February. But now they've had their struggles down the stretch, losing 2 of their last 3.
North Carolina, 17%. They're really hot right now as well. They have not won the tournament since 2008. NC State, Wes Moore has such a great pedigree in this tournament. I mentioned on the men's side, Duke as the 5 seed. What about the NC State men who made that magical run 5 games in 5 days? So that has happened as well.
It is no easy feat winning 5 and 5, that's for sure. That's why those double byes are so important to reward the work you have done in the regular season. Stanford, of course, knows all about winning Pac-12 championships. They dominated that league. 15 tournament titles between the Pac-10 and Pac-12. So what was the number, Kelly? 56-8,
yes.
Their record all time at the Pac-12 tournament.
That is an unbelievable stat. I had to read that 3 times. I thought it was a typo or something. That Pac-12 tournament started in 2002, and Stanford went 56-8. Still looking for their first ACC tournament win. They played 1 game here last year and lost.
Unselfish play there from Kyle as she passed it away with the shot clock winding down, but then it winds up being a travel on the freshman Meredith Tipner.
Miami continuing to apply that press off of makes and dead ball situation. Stanford, overall for the game, only 6 turnovers. They've handled it a lot better than they did in the previous matchup, but it still has been effective at times.
That was coming right in front of us, too. You could see the intensity of that Miami defense, just hands all over the basketball. Seventh turnover by Stanford. 1 point Miami lead. Kimpson pulls up, is fouled. Tough shot. And a free throw on the way.
They call Amarachi Kimpson smooth for a reason. She is a scorer. What a tough shot on the baseline, finishing through contact. She's had some big games this year for Miami. She had 21 at Notre Dame. She had 23 in their win over SMU. When she gets going, she can fill it up.
At 14 in Miami's win against Stanford. Hit a couple of threes in that game. Did that in this game as well in the first half. In the double digits now with 10 points and standing at the free throw line. So that extends Miami's lead to 4. Largest lead of the game was 13 for the Hurricanes back in the first, where Stanford just wasn't quite awake yet, I don't think, in this ACC tournament, this early start by West Coast standards. $14 points in the game for Gal Raviv, sophomore from Israel. Adams gets it back. She and Raviv, little 2-woman game going here. Raviv all the way to the basket, it's good. Shofai went down. She and Kyle were wrangling for positioning.
A lot of contact on that possession. Nothing called. The refs have let these teams play a bit today, which I have in mind. I feel like it's been a good rhythm to this game. Only 6 fouls called on each team.
Six on the shot clock for Clardy. And a big rebound pulled down by Kyle. Oh, that's an easy 2. It was not where it was meant to go, but it's where it wound up. And Miami taking advantage. That's the freshman Soma Okolo with an open look. 8-point Miami lead. Hurricanes out in front of the...
And the tree is so committed to Stanford and basketball. Even though the metal detector tried to keep the tree down, the tree said, I'm going to find a way in this arena.
Mascots, we love you. All right, let's look at what's been going on in this game. It has been a game of runs, hasn't it? And you almost wonder if it's that time, Kelly, for Stanford to take their turn.
It feels like danger zone time for Stanford. They did this in the first quarter. They had a scoring drought. They were able to fight back because of the 3-ball. But they've been so reliant on the 3 today. 9 of their 19 made field goals have been beyond the arc. They've got to find a way to score in the paint and take care of the basketball.
Tough possession there on the turnover. Miami had the paint well covered and get the bucket on the other end from Kimpson.
The Miami press has thrown things off for Stanford. It hasn't necessarily forced a bunch of turnovers, but it's made Stanford uncomfortable, and they have not been able to slow down to get in rhythm for their shots.
9-0 Miami run now. For the last minute 50, that one's tapped away from Aguera.
Shea Kyle strong inside on Aguera, holding her base, and then Anae Adams able to sneak in and get the steal.
Stanford returning the favor. Go to Aguera for 2. She now has 10. I feel like there's been really good patience on this end of the floor from Miami too, whether it's been getting it into Kyle or when she gets it, what she then opts to do with it.
And Rashea Kyle, this is her one and only year at Miami, right? So it felt like early on, this was such a new team. Miami returned 2 players total from last year as Trisha Cullop's trying to build her program and build her culture. It takes a while to learn, even though it's exciting to play with a presence like Rashea Kyle. Most of these players have not played with a player like her. So it takes a while to learn how to do so, and it feels like Miami started to figure that out.
Kyle goes to the bench for these final few seconds of the third. Raviv, nice left-handed finish.
Raviv is so fun. She is going to be a player to watch in this league.
Was the MAC Player of the Year and Rookie of the Year last year at Quinnipiac. Averaged 18 points per game with the Bobcats. I think they were the Bobcats. I think I'm remembering that correctly. Averaging 13 per game this year for Miami. She's already exceeded that here today with 18 for the Canes. Clardy. Stanford trying to get some paint penetration, but that is a shot with a pretty low percentage of finish, and it winds up in the hands of Miami. It has felt like everything has been a struggle inside for Stanford, and give Miami a lot of credit for that. Hurricanes now, final few seconds ticking off in the third. Looking for the 3 at the buzzer, and it hits! Natalie Wetzel, the freshman who has grown up this year, in the words of her head coach, drains the 3 to end the third.
And Anae Adams set this up perfectly. She sets up her freshman. Maybe the deepest 3 we'll see all week. And Trisha Cullop is loving it on the sidelines. Exclamation point for Miami on this third quarter.
Ruling is a successful 3-point field goal placed on review.
I think that's very applicable. She has been fantastic, Jen.
Well, she brings us right to our star stories for players that have been crushing it of late. Brought to you by Crush. Not only Kyle, but Gower Vive with 18.
And that 1-2 punch, right? When you can have Rashea Kyle scoring inside, but then Raviv hitting shots on the outside. Very hard to guard Miami.
That defense had 6 steals in the third quarter, pick up another one here now to start the fourth, but turn it right back over to Stanford. Cardinal with some ground to make up, with that 3 at the third quarter buzzer, Miami equaling its largest lead of the game.
Similar to that second quarter, when Stanford went off from 3, it feels like the way this game has gone, they're going to have to utilize the 3 ball to get back in this one.
Swain and Ogden have both hit from downtown already for Stanford in this game. Ogden closely guarded here, going in for a closer look. Sixth rebound by Kyle to go along with her 17 points. Ogden was ready for that interior pass. Cardinal trying to take advantage on the takeaway. No, Aguera gets another bite at the apple and is fouled. Stanford had a stretch this season, Kelly, where they lost 8 of 9 games in conference play. During that stretch, Nuna Aguera was out for 5 of them. That was also not long after they had lost their starting point guard, Talana Lapolo, who has been out and unavailable since early January. But they got together after that. After that stretch, 3 wins in a row coming into this ACC tournament.
They did, but the ebbs and flows of the season, just too many losses in that stretch you mentioned, Jen. They have some good wins. Of course, they beat North Carolina. They beat Washington in the non-conference, but still lost to too many ACC teams that aren't going to make the tournament. That hurts their resume. The Florida Gulf Coast lost also in the non-conference. That's a quad 4 loss. That really hurts their overall resume, but I still think they're alive. They have to find a way, though, to get some wins in Duluth, and that starts with the final 9 minutes of this fourth quarter.
Winner of this game will face the 5 seed Notre Dame Fighting Irish tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on ACCN. Of course, we've got you covered all tournament long on our ESPN family of networks. Well, Tricia Cullip said that she sure hoped her team had put that performance at Georgia Tech behind them on Sunday. Said we couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with our shooting. Okay, that's just impressive. Let's pause for a moment.
She kept the dribble.
Kept the dribble alive as she went down. But for Miami, coming off that Georgia Tech game, they look like they're playing with a lot more confidence. They're getting what they want out of this game, but Stanford needs a little more of that.
Stanford has lived and died by the 3 today. That hasn't been them all season, but that's been them in this game. They're 10 of 19 from beyond the arc, and they're playing a little zone here, trying to throw something different at Miami and Rashea Kyle.
And Stanford, despite the fact that all season long the 3 really has not been their favored weapon of choice. I mean, they ranked 16th in the ACC in terms of 3-point percentage, but coming into this one, they had been shooting more of them. They've made 8 threes in 3 of their last 4 games. Kyle on the free throw line, 73% free throw shooter on the season. And I love the connection with how Rashea Kyle came to Miami. There is a family connection here. Now, Tricia Cullip said she'd had her eye on Rashea for a long time, since she was in 8th grade, because when she was coaching at Toledo, Marion, Indiana wasn't that far away, so she was watching her. But there was also a family connection in that Rashea's aunt played for Tricia Cullip at Toledo.
And Coach Cullip said when she saw Rashea Kyle enter the portal from Florida, the first thing she did was call her aunt right away to get the scoop. And there was obviously a trust there, and that led to them talking more and Rashea Kyle ending up at Miami. But that's a pretty cool story to have that type of history. Her aunt, Tanika Mays, this was after the Notre Dame game, and Rashea Kyle with Coach Cullip. The connections go way back.
You know what? In recruiting, Kelly, you have to use whatever connections you can to gain an edge. And what an advantage that has been to get Rashea Kyle to Miami to have the season she has had, all ACC first team pick this season. Miami looking inside to Kyle. How about that from behind? Ijiwoye at 5'6", making her presence felt.
And Kyle, Shumpai's fronting, so Kyle's calling for the ball, and maybe not as worried about Ijiwoye because of her lack of size, but go ahead and get up, Ijiwoye. Look at the height difference there, but she's making her presence known inside.
Rashea Kyle demands a lot from the defense. She has 18 points. She has 8 of 9 from the floor. And add one more to that.
She has been dominant. Stanford has not had an answer. They've only doubled a couple times. They doubled early in the second half and haven't gone back to it. I know Kyle's passed it well out of it, but the way that she is hurting you, I would think that you double a bit more if you're the Stanford Cardinal. In this situation, there's no double to be had there. This is just really good execution. Kyle gets the advantage in positioning, and Rashea Kyle, you can tell she's a vet. She's played so much college basketball. She is a pro at positioning inside, knowing when and where to seal, and making herself available to her guards.
Quite a line. 20 points, 9 of 10 from the floor, 7 rebounds. She has 19 double-doubles on the season. That ranks second in the ACC. A couple of rebounds away from number 20. And maybe even more than that. A little extra life for Miami if they can get past Stanford here. Make it to day 2 of this ACC Women's Tournament here in Duluth. Stanford doing all they can here, trying to defend Kyle. And a job well done this time. Coming up next, game 2 here. Another West Coast team in action. Cal Bears taking on Wake Forest in our second game. And Stanford wasting no time getting down the floor with Aguera.
Stanford's had a few costly missed layups. A few in that first quarter when they were struggling, and then that one right there from Aguera.
Was an offensive foul called on Kyle last time down the floor. She gets it this time, post-to-post passing.
That's textbook. It's textbook. When you get the ball to the high post and Kyle's able to get her defender on the opposite side and get her that high, that away from the basket, throw the ball up to Rashay Kyle and let her go to work. And this is what I mean by how smart she is with her seals. The second the ball goes in, she knows, I've got Aguera on the top side. I'm going to put my hand up, hold this seal. And she knows she's got all that space between her and Aguera and the rim. Just, this has been a clinic. You could put this film on for a young post player and say, watch Rashay Kyle, watch 0. That's how you play the center position.
Well, she is helping Miami to an incredible shooting percentage right now. They're 61% for the game, 78% since halftime. Swain had it, gets it back. That's stuck on the front of the rim, just wouldn't go up and in.
And this second half specifically, it pains me to say this, Jen, but it shows the reliability of two-point shots, scoring in the paint, the layup, versus the reliability of the 3. Even the best teams out there shoot, what, 35% from 3? You can't rely on it all game to be your main point of scoring. And Miami's done a great job of dominating the paint. Plus 20 in the paint against Stanford.
I'm proud of you, Kelly.
I know, it's hard to say. I hate it.
Kelly loved to shoot those 3s in her day, and she loves celebrating the 3. I thought Gal V was going to give you one right there. It's a little off. She's going to try again. I don't think the shot clock reset, and that's not going to do it either.
Wetzel gave us that deep 3 at the end of the third quarter. That was a beauty.
Look at the rebounding advantage for Miami in this game. And that's been a big part of the storyline as well.
Yeah, part of the paint domination. And Miami's also been very good on the offensive glass.
Boy, you have to have composure against this Miami press, and this time it results in a turnover. Hurricanes holding strong, 5 to go here in the 4th. Cal Wake coming up next. See the Cal Bears getting warmed up, ready to roll against Wake Forest. And the winner of this game between Stanford and Miami will take on Neil Ivy's Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who've won 5 in a row, Kelly, and 7 of their last 8 coming into the tourney.
Notre Dame is one of the hottest teams in the country, and I was so impressed with their final week of the regular season. A tough win over a good Syracuse team. Heads up, Jen. Ball coming at us.
I was ready.
And then winning in the Yum Center against Louisville. They were always going to be a tournament team, but now they're playing for seeding. I think there's a chance. If Notre Dame makes a run, if they win this thing, Jen, could we see them sneak in to the top 4? They're a 6 seed right now. They have a very good net. They have 5 quad 1 wins and a lot of quad 1 wins to be had in this ACC tournament. So keep an eye on the Fighting Irish.
Nice drive there by Swain, and why wouldn't you keep an eye on the Irish anyway? Because they have what our friend, our Hall of Fame broadcaster, Debbie Antonelli, would call a ticket-selling player in Hannah Hidalgo, who, if you have not seen play, where have you been? Be sure you tune in and watch, because she is something special. ACC Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year.
Her second straight ACC Player of the Year. She won this tournament as a freshman, was the most valuable player of the tournament. If she continues like she is, which I don't see any reason why she shouldn't, going into her senior year next year, there's no doubt in my mind she will go down as one of the best players in the history of this league, the storied history of ACC women's basketball. She is that special.
Over and back violation against Gal Aviv in Miami. Yeah, I heard on the ACC basketball podcast, you and Brooke Weisbrod were talking about the Player of the Year discussion, and it was a great one. And I was right there with you in thinking that you look at a team like Duke that won the ACC regular season title, and a force like Toby Fournier, who is their most dominant player. And should she have been Player of the Year? Maybe. She was certainly in the discussion, but I feel like I agreed with you. Hannah Hidalgo, just with the numbers she was putting up and the way that she helped Notre Dame finish as high as 5. It was really undeniable.
If Duke had, exactly, Jen, if Duke had gone undefeated, I think it would have been a different discussion. But the way Notre Dame played down the stretch, the way Hannah Hidalgo put that team on her back down the stretch, in the end, I voted Hannah, but it was a very tough call. I think both are All-Americans. I think Toby Fournier is also going to be an All-American, and I can't wait to see what she does in this tournament.
Duke Blue Devils, the #1 seed, regular season champs in this ACC tournament. The defending tournament champs, having won it last year. 5 on the shot clock for Miami. Raviv lines up the 3. It's short.
Stanford's put together a few stops. They just have to find a way to score if they can get back in this game, cut it to single digits.
Yeah, the Miami defense has gotten 7 straight stops on this end. Shomfai, a timely 3.
Shomfai is another one of those special freshmen for Stanford. I cannot wait to see how these freshmen continue to grow at Stanford. She's had a fantastic rookie campaign. She can shoot the basketball at her size, at 6'3". The way she can rebound it, paired that with her shooting. There are very few 6'3" players that can do that. Shomfai hits a 3. Stanford trying to hang around here in this first round.
8-point lead for Miami. Stanford cutting into it, though, with that 3 from their freshman, Laura Shomfai. Stanford currently first 4 out on the bubble, according to our Charlie Cream. Miami, they have to get a win as a double-digit seed in the ACC tournament, so perhaps that can change if they can stay out in front of Stanford here and crush those postseason dreams of the Cardinal.
And this will be Trisha Cullop's first ACC tournament win, as they did not qualify for the tournament last year. So that would be a good big step for her as she's continuing to make her mark on this program.
Both of these teams with second-year head coaches in charge. 5 on the shot clock for Miami. Kyle, ready and waiting. Good defense, just made it tough on her that time.
Only her second miss of the game.
Swain coming back down with 2 on the other end. She has 16 now for Stanford.
Stanford has some life, putting some pressure on Miami. Score, applying that press, see if they can get another stop and continue to get back in this game.
Yeah, now it's Miami who's had 6 straight empty possessions, and this seems much more manageable if you're Stanford than when it was 13 points at the start of the 4th.
Especially with how Stanford has shot the 3. I know they've been colder in the second half, but they're still 11 of 22 from 3 on the game.
Shot clock winding down. Canes need 1.
Stanford's got 5 on 4. Rashea Kyle's out of the play.
Swain drives, is fouled, and will go to the free throw line. Third personal on Anae Adams. And Haley Swain standing at the free throw line, 78% free throw shooter on the season. She's coming off a career-high 20 points in the win against Clemson. Her dad, Robert, he's not going to watch. I don't blame him. The stress of being a parent.
Oh, it's okay, Robert. You can look now.
Well, Stanford clawing closer. Going to commit the foul here. That is Aguirre's 3rd. Just the third team foul of the quarter for the Cardinal.
I don't mind that foul. Breaks up Miami's rhythm a bit, and then you get closer to the bonus if you get in a situation where you need to get them in the bonus and then force a turnover.
Well, Gal Raviv immediately went over to Trisha Cullop. and asked her to look at that. I don't even know that that's reviewable.
No, you can't review a travel call.
And Ogden took advantage on the other end. Miami was out of sorts, and Ogden drained the triple to make this a 2-point game.
Stanford stays alive. The 3 ball is the ultimate equalizer. When you shot the 3 that Stanford has, shot the way they have it, this 4th quarter in this game, they're going to find a way to get back in it. And Courtney Ogden, I mean, she's been fantastic. 4 for 7 from 3. She hits it. Make the game last as long as possible. If you're down late in the 4th quarter, that's what Stanford's done. And they clawed back into it.
It felt like this storyline had been written. Miami had a 13-point lead coming into the 4th. Rashea Kyle looked unstoppable. But now all of a sudden, Stanford just refused to go away. Cardinal on a 9-0 run.
The 4th quarter and the 2nd quarter for Stanford have been very similar, and it's because of the 3. They shot the 3 so well in the 2nd. They're coming alive right now in the 4th quarter. And it felt like Miami got a little tight in the final 5 minutes of this 4th quarter. Not necessarily looking to score, just looking to get this game over with. And Stanford has taken advantage of that.
Miami with a drought of over 5 minutes without a point. We'll see how they handle the pressure from Stanford. A minute to go in game 1 of this ACC tournament. What a game it has turned out to be. Hurricanes looking for their first ever win at the ACC tournament as a double-digit seed. They're the 12, Stanford the 13, 6 on the shot clock. Kimson had it taken away by Clardy. Ogden just hit the last 3 for the Cardinal, and she stepped on the baseline, turns it over to Miami.
She was in rhythm. I know it was early in the shot clock, but I would have preferred to see her take that 3, then force it and get this turnover. But Stanford still alive, applying that press. The press has worked great in the final 5 minutes of the 4th quarter. Miami has to take care of the basketball.
9 straight empty possessions, 5 turnovers for Miami as they are trying to hang on here. And now Miami stepped out of bounds, and credit both teams' defenses for forcing those turnovers.
Nunu Aguera has been a force at the top of that press. It's very rare to have a 6'2" player like her that can move and be the defensive presence in a press situation. She's been great.
Stanford timeout. Cardinal down 2, Kelly. Look, the 3 has been their savior. Do they look for 3 here, or do you go for the 2?
12 of their 25 made shots have been 3s. It feels like that's been the most effective part of their game plan. They're shooting a much better percentage from 3 than 2. I still think you'd love to get something going to the basket, have shooters ready, have a shooter on the strong side, a player like Ogden, and look for a kick out, but you don't need a 3. So I still want to get something going to the basket if I'm Stanford and look for a shooter.
Ogden, 20 points in the game, 4 of 7 from 3. Swain is 4 of 6 from 3 for 17. And Cardinal on a 9-0 run.
And Shumfai also has shot the 3 really well. So you have options. And Swain, she's been good in this 4th quarter. Courtney Ogden has made plays. It's a rare situation where generally, Jen, you're down 2, you're looking to go get a shot at the rim and make this game last. But the way Stanford has shot the 3, I would not be surprised to see them run something for Swain or Ogden, who have both hit 4 threes, and Shumfai maybe as a trailer or a 3rd option. She's 3 of 5 from beyond the arc. I know you're down 2, but the way Stanford shot it, go for the 3.
Who wants the ball at a big moment? One of those upon the Stanford Cardinal right now.
And shoot it early enough, Jen. Shoot it early enough where you have a chance for a rebound. Nunu Aguera inside. Excellent rebounder, Shumfai as well. Don't take too much time. You want to give yourself a chance for an offensive rebound.
Cardinal lost their 1st round game in the ACC tournament last year, so they're 0-1 all time. First, you have to get it in. Ogden, looks like she's going to the basket. Yes, that ties it. Timeout, Miami.
Courtney Ogden. What a game for the junior from right here in Atlanta, Georgia. 22 points. She also has 6 assists, just for good measure, but They bring Ogden off of this curl. She gets the ball and attacks on the smaller Kimson. Big time size advantage on Kimson. She realizes that, has the presence of mind to put the ball on the floor and say, I'm gonna go use my size to get a bucket.
Ogden, 11 of her 22 points in this fourth quarter. And Stanford outscoring Miami 18-5. A spot in the second round at stake, along with potentially Stanford's NCAA tournament hopes and dreams.
This game is kind of fitting for Stanford. It's been a roller coaster of a season with all these freshmen, different injuries. They look like they're completely out of it, Jen. They rally an 18-5 fourth quarter, tie it up with Courtney Ogden, and now Stanford with all the momentum. Feels like they have all the confidence. Can Miami lock in and say, look, we blew this lead, but we still have every chance in the world to win this game, and it feels like the ball has got to find its way to Rashea Kyle's hands.
I was just going to ask you that. Can you go anywhere other than Kyle? I mean, on the one hand, you know Stanford's going to be prepared for that. But on the other, they haven't been able to stop her all game long. 22 points, 9 rebounds for Kyle.
And Jen, if you're Stanford, they've doubled a handful of times, but it hasn't been their main game plan. In this situation, if Kyle does catch it, especially late, lower on the block, I would consider throwing a double at her because you haven't done it since early in the third quarter. See how she reacts. Make someone else beat you besides Rashea Kyle.
She has scored all 5 of Miami's points in this fourth quarter. That pass nearly got away from Miami. Raviv able to retrieve it. 10 seconds left. Do the Hurricanes have the final say in this first round matchup against Stanford? Got to get a shot off, and they won't. An empty possession to end it, but there is life still for both teams, tied at 70, headed to overtime.
I loved that adjustment from Kate Pay to go zone on that final possession. It felt like Miami was not ready for Stanford to go zone. It was also an aggressive zone. They were bringing the pressure up and trapping out of it, but it's hard to run a ball screen on a zone, and Miami had nowhere to go with the basketball. Stanford has to take so much momentum and pride from that defensive stop. And this fourth quarter in general, 18-5 fourth quarter, and Stanford has new life.
What happened to Miami in this fourth quarter?
They started playing so conservatively. They were being so aggressive in the third. They were attacking. They were using their press to get turnovers. And they just couldn't score in the fourth quarter. They got very timid. They got very passive. And Stanford started using their press to force turnovers. Almost gave Miami a taste of their own medicine. Miami was playing not to lose. They weren't playing to win in the fourth quarter, and Stanford took advantage.
Well, we have overtime now to decide who will face the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the 5 seed in this ACC tournament tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. in the second round.
Jen, how fitting. First game of the ACC tournament,
now we're getting overtime?
Come on now, maybe this is a sign.
The stakes are raised as we head to overtime. Stanford fighting back. 18-5, outscoring Miami in the fourth quarter. So can they keep that momentum going? Certainly they've got to feel like they have it rolling right now. In Miami, you feel like, Kelly, they have to get back to whatever was working early, much of which surrounded that player right there, Rashea Kyle.
To me, overtime, there's 2 teams that can really benefit in overtime. The home team, which we don't have here. This is a neutral site, right? And the team that clawed their way back. When you came back from down 11 and you have all that confidence and momentum in the world, I give a big advantage to that team heading into overtime.
Miami will start off with the basketball. Kyle had all 5 of the Hurricanes' points in the fourth quarter, so you feel as much as she is the centerpiece, they probably also need to get some other players a little more involved.
And Stanford staying in that zone that works so well on the final possession. It's hard sometimes to get the ball inside to your 6'6" center against a zone.
Ogden and Clardy gather themselves, have to get it over midcourt. Now they do. Ogden, a massive fourth quarter for Stanford. 11 of her 22 in the fourth. That ball poked away from Swain. Renee Adams, such a key piece to this Miami team, the glue player, passing the ball around. They get the three from the corner, and it's Kimson who strikes.
The way to open up a zone, it's very simple, but you've got to hit outside shots. You have to hit threes against that zone. That's a very good sign for Miami to start this overtime.
Clardy answers with two of her own. Those are actually the first points of the game for Chloe Clardy. She averages nearly 12 points per game, largely off the bench this season.
And Miami bringing the defense here in overtime. Kimson with the big three in the corner. It felt like Miami just needed to see the ball go through the net, Jim. They were so offensively challenged in the latter part of that fourth quarter.
Miami 2-0 in overtime games this season, so they have some experience in the back pocket of winning when going to overtime. And Adams just patient there, able to draw the foul on Aguera, and that is her fourth.
The smallest player on the floor grabbing this offensive rebound, and this is so smart. Get Aguera in the air, knowing, hey, I'm 5'6". I'm not scoring over Nunu Aguera, but I can use that pump fake to my advantage. A cerebral play from the sophomore.
Renee Adams, 6 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists in the game. That's her first point since the first half.
And we talked about how there haven't been that many fouls. We haven't had a lot of players in foul trouble in this game, but in overtime, fouls almost always factor in. And Nunu Aguera, with that fourth foul, that's a big thing to watch.
And she stays on the floor. 3 minutes to go in this one. Key piece of this Stanford team takes the shot. Kyle had it ripped away. It's a battle for the ball, and eventually Miami and Kimson come away with it. Kyle does seem to be laboring a little bit down the floor. Wetzel, open look for three. Kyle. Looks like she is just running on fumes right now. Took a hit on the other end and does get this rebound, draw the foul.
That was a lot of ball on that play, even though Kyle did hit the deck, but she continues to battle, gets that rebound over Shumfai. Kyle and Shumfai have been going at it in this second half. You got a graduate student in Rashea Kyle and a true freshman in Lara Shumfai.
And that was the fourth personal on Shumfai, so now she and Aguera both with 4 for Stanford.
And that's big. That's the toll of having to deal with Rashea Kyle the entire game. Your front court is going to have to pick up some fouls. You have to guard her and use some of those fouls and that physicality.
Kyle with 23 points now and 10 rebounds for her 20th double-double of the season.
You want the all-ACC players to show up come tournament time, and we have seen that. Rashea Kyle, Nunu Aguera, and the super talented freshmen, Swain and Shumfai for Stanford. All of these all-ACC players have come to play in the first game of the ACC tournament.
2 big free throws there and a 4-point Miami lead. Stanford fought their way back into this in the fourth quarter. Can they come back again in overtime? Shumfai off the mark on 3.
Not the possession you want if you're Stanford. Great job by Miami. It is hard to be that locked in defensively. Rotation so crisp this late in what, the 43rd minute of the basketball game.
And credit to Miami. I mean, they really had to regroup because I agree with you, Kelly. They did seem like they were playing tight in that fourth quarter. Had several empty possessions and a scoring drought. Raviv up and in.
My goodness. Gal Raviv, so fun to watch. And just goes one-on-one over the bigger player, knocks it down.
Aguera to Clardy. Left-handed lay-in is good. Stanford trying to steal some points with their pressure. Instead, it winds up in an open look for three. Big rebound, too, by the freshman, Natalie Wetzel.
Massive rebound because there was quite a bit of time left on the shot clock. That was a gutsy shot by Timpson. She missed it, but her teammate helps her out, gets the rebound, so the possession stays alive.
Miami in no hurry here. 4 on the shot clock, though. Is Kyle aware of it? Wetzel is. Got too deep under the basket. Stanford needs some points. Ogden. Bothered, perhaps, by Kyle slashing through. Both teams in the bonus. Stanford, at least not obviously committing to the foul there, trying to get the steal, but they do wind up committing a foul.
This was such a clutch bucket from Gal Raviv over Shumfai. Just playing with her a little bit. The handle so smooth, right into that sweet lefty jumper. Big time bucket from the sophomore.
Well, Miami as a team ranks last in the ACC in conference play at the free throw line, 65%. But they're hitting them here late when it matters most. And her 8 of 10 for the clutch. Six points, now the deficit. Stanford calls a timeout, have the option to advance. We'll see what they do when we come back. What else might this Ally ACC Women's Tournament have in store? Give you a look at all the games coming up here over the next few days. And we are already into our first overtime game in the first round at the ACC Tournament since 2016. So we're making magic. Cal Wake coming up next.
If this is any indication, I think we're in for a great tournament. Cal and Wake Forest, can't wait for that one. And Miami, I'm so impressed, Jen, with the way they bounce back in this overtime. It's hard to do when you have that type of clunker of a fourth quarter, for lack of a better term. And then you bounce back in the overtime. 5 total points in the fourth quarter and 10 points in overtime.
Yeah, that's impressive. And this is a group that has had to learn to come together this season. We mentioned it, those 11 newcomers, not their challenge, but Stanford still with some time here, and the 3 has been good to the Cardinal when they've needed it today. So they have a few more left in the bag. Ogden wants it, takes it. She is off. The offensive putback from Clardy is good. Clardy, all 6 of her points coming in overtime. Timeout Miami.
And I love the advance the ball rule. I love it for
The game clock is under review.
late game situations, but for this situation, if you're Stanford, you don't love it because your press has been working. And so now Miami's going to get to advance the ball with that timeout. You don't get to apply that pressure.
Maya Forsberg and the officials just checking the clock. Doesn't seem like there'll be much of a change, if any. All right, strategy Stanford here. What are they trying to do in this defensive possession?
Stanford, first pass, you're going for a steal. You've got to sell out, try to find a way. First pass, get a steal. If you don't get a steal in the first pass, you got to foul.
Kyle has it. And timeout called Miami. Trisha Cullop not liking what she was seeing there. All the players on the floor for Miami, about the same, really, in terms of free throw percentage.
The game clock is under review.
Get another look at the clock. Anae Adams maybe is just at 65%. But it's not like there is a real glaring low free throw percentage shooter you'd be wanting to go for here if you're Stanford. each team with 1 timeout
The game
left.
clock is being reset to 13.5.
13.5 on the clock, studio crew, and then we're coming to you. Coach Muffin McGraw, Kelsey Riggs-Cup, Kai Crutchfield. All the love right back at you, ladies.
How about our youngin', Kai Crutchfield, her first ACC tournament on the media side, a 3-time ACC champion. She's been doing a great job for us this season.
Stanford does commit the foul. Kimson, 78% free throw shooter. 3 of 3 today from the line, and Miami as a team, 5 of 6 in overtime.
The free throws add on to what I was saying about Miami and their poise in this overtime. Feels like they've learned some of the lessons from the year where they haven't bounced back, or the Georgia Tech loss before the end of the regular season that Coach Cullip was just flummoxed by and called it a dose of humble pie. Maybe that humble pie helped, because this has been a mature response from Miami in overtime.
Hurricanes ready to punch their ticket through to day 2 here at the ACC Tournament, and a date with the 5 seed at Notre Dame. The Irish beat the Hurricanes in South Bend January 22nd, 74-66 the score of that game.
Fun story from that game. You bring up the ACC Network Basketball Podcast. You can find that wherever you get your pods. We have a preview of the ACC Tournament up right now. But Debbie Antonelli and I were doing the podcast that day, and Debbie was doing the Miami Notre Dame game. And we thought, okay, who else could we get on as a guest? And Debbie is just roaming the halls of, I believe, the Embassy Suite in South Bend, Indiana. And who does she find? Trisha Cullip down in the lobby. She grabs Trisha Cullip, brings her up to her room. And so we have a Debbie and Trisha Cullip interview on the podcast. And that just shows when Debbie Antonelli is in a hotel, you're never safe. She may find you an interview for the podcast.
I like that this is how you guys get things done. You know, this is what our analysts do for you, viewers. They're going out and getting you interviews.
Really just Debbie. Debbie has that clout.
Debbie Antonelli will join me here tomorrow for the first couple of games. Kelly going to work with the studio crew. And Stanford, you could tell, wanting to get Courtney Ogden another 3. She had such a huge 4th quarter for the Cardinal, getting them back into this game and even giving them an opportunity to get to overtime. And the Stanford team has such a young core that is going to be fun to watch as they continue to grow.
And this is where it was interesting that Coach Cullip called those back-to-back timeouts, because they don't have a timeout left. And if they had, they could have advanced the ball, but here they got to get the ball inbounds and no timeouts left to be called.
Six-point Miami lead, 9.2 on the clock. Kyle got it and then took cover. Knew the foul was coming. Will get herself to the free throw line. 24 points on 10 of 12 shooting in the game, 4 of 5 from the free throw line.
Truly a clinic from Rashea Kyle in her first ever ACC tournament game. She has made her mark. Those 11 rebounds, only picked up 1 foul. Was great defensively inside, staying on the floor for her team.
Not sure exactly what all the delay is here. Looks like we're ready to go with those free throws. You talked about the stars you want to see them come to play, perform well. All ACC selections like Rashea Kyle. She has certainly done that for Miami this afternoon. Tougher day for Nunu Aguera and Stanford, but I mean, this entire team for Stanford really could be back in action next year. How special that could be. Final few seconds. Miami Hurricanes getting the job done. Their first ever win in the ACC tournament as a double-digit seed. They do it knocking off the 13 seed Stanford Cardinal. 83-76 your final score. Had a few stumbles along the way, Kelly, but Miami had the final say in this one.
Basketball is a game of runs. We had quite a few runs from each team here in this one, but Miami a 13-6 overtime. That sealed it. And how about the big three? 3 different players with 20 or more points. Kimson with 20, Raviv with 20, Rashea Kyle with 25. Those 3 were outstanding for the Canes.
So for the first time in this 2026 Ally ACC Women's Tournament, we can move a team through to the next round. That is the Miami Hurricanes. Sets you up for Notre Dame, Miami, 1:30 Eastern tomorrow. Virginia Clemson will start the day on Thursday. And of course, we have 2 more games still coming up here today. Cal Wake next, Georgia Tech, Florida State later this afternoon. Rashea Kyle, though, Kelly, has to be the star of this first game of the tournament.
Rashea Kyle out here just balling out for Miami inside. She was so good, getting to the rim, so effective, 10 of 12 from the field, 25 points, 11 rebounds. And we were moving some chairs so that we can get her on TV with us.
She is sitting down with us now.
It smells good over here.
Oh, I'm glad she thinks that. Well, you know what? You had it cooking out there.
I tried.
Looking good.
Thank you.
Looked like you were kind of running on fumes there at the end.
Yeah.
What pushed you through? What got you through?
My teammates, my coaches, just keep talking to me and installing that confidence in me and telling me that we can get through this. So yeah, I just think they helped me and played a big role and played their part the whole game.
Rashea, I thought you were so poised inside. The few times they tried to double you, you handled it really well. It felt like they got out of that. But when you do see a double team, what's going through your mind?
I mean, this is my 6th year. I mean, I'm used to it now. I mean, I've been playing against doubles and triples for a really long time now. But my teammates, they call it out for me. My coaches, they're calling it out for me. Turn, face up, get to see. Got my teammates cutting on the backside, high post cutting. So they open everything up for me. So I would just say kudos to my teammates and my coaches.
All right, well, I'll give you a chance to give them a little more kudos. Why should people believe in this Miami team?
I think we've came close a lot of times to beating a lot of really good teams. A lot of people don't believe in us. This is a new team. Only 2 people that was from last year on the same team. We had to rebuild. We're really young. But my team fights through and through every day. We come to practice. We show up. They show up. My coaches show up. We're always there cheering each other on. We work really hard for each other. But I think a lot of people, they got something. We're going to show them. Yeah.
We saw the fight today. Congrats.
Yeah, we're going to fight through and through.
We certainly saw that. Rashea Kyle and Miami through to day 2 of the ACC Women's Tournament. They will take on 5th-seeded Notre Dame tomorrow. Rashea is cheering as her teammates are putting that Miami logo up on the board.
Yeah.
Our final score in this first game, Miami victorious 83-76 over Stanford. As we get set for game 2, we'll send you to our crew in the studio. And Kelsey, take it away.
Thank you, guys.
Jen and Kelly, thanks so much. How much fun was that? We got overtime in the first game alongside Kai Crutchfield, a 3-time ACC Tournament champ, and our Hall of Famer, Muffin McGraw, who's won 5. I'm Kelsey Ricks Cup. It is good to be here with you. What a game that was. It was like every quarter was something different, whether it was Stanford or Miami that was going on a run. Coach, what does it take from a team like Miami to come out on top and win that one?
Well, here's what happened in the game. In the 4th quarter was so decisive because Miami came out and shot 2 for 10 from the field, 0 for 7 from the 3-point line, and had 8 turnovers. What they needed to do was get the ball into Rashea Kyle. She'd been really carrying them the whole game. They had a great high-low look that we wanted to talk about. And they decided to stay on the perimeter and take shots. And then they got really complacent and thought, let's just use clock. Well, they used the entire 30 seconds without getting a shot. So they needed to, you want to look when you get to about 10 on the shot clock. That's when you start your offense. You come in, you move the ball, and then you go inside to Rashea Kyle. And Stanford got hot. So it was back and forth. But I thought Miami just really kind of shot themselves in the foot in the 4th quarter.
And you heard Kyle just now saying, I've been used to the double team. So the fact that she was able to really be calm and collected in the double team, but then you have to pay attention to the perimeter as well. Kimson stepped up. She usually only averages about 11 points per game, but tonight she had 20. So I think that plays a lot into the confidence, not only that they have in Rashea Kyle, but in the guards as well.
Yeah, Kimson really played well, and she was somebody that when Stanford went zone, which I thought really stymied Miami for a while, she hit some big shots.
You mentioned she had 20, Kyle had 25, and then Gal Raviv, who we'll talk to in a little while, had 20 as well. Kai, it's the first time that Miami has been able to have 3 20-point scorers all season. To have that balance, especially when they're able to sustain some of the runs from Stanford, what does that do for them?
I think it plays, again, like the pick your poison thing. You know you're going to have with Rashea Kyle a double-double because that's what she does. But the fact that Gal Revive stepped up and Kimson, there's more depth added to the team. So when you scout now, it's not just Rashea Kyle. Say, okay, well, Revive is hot. She has such an unorthodox way to play. She can get to the mid-range. She can knock down the three. And then Kimson, I mean, you saw the and one that she had on the baseline. Just being able to flow with the game, I think it's going to take them far.
And for Miami, it takes the pressure off of everybody. Kyle doesn't feel like she's got to do it all. Gal doesn't feel like she's got to do it all. So now when you have 3 people, it's a lot easier to win when you got 3 players averaging 20.
Coach, you were talking about some of the troubles that Miami had there in the fourth quarter and that last final possession, not even able to get the shot off. Obviously, all of them very frustrated. But if you're Coach Cullip, what are you taking away from this, that your team was able to find a way to win this one, especially in spite of that fourth quarter?
Well, first I got a few more gray hairs for Trisha Cullip, and I got to go figure out how I'm going to fix that. And I think when you kind of breathe that sigh of relief at the end, then you can look at it and go, what did we learn? You know, we learned we took too long. We moved the ball. We didn't attack the basket. We didn't go north-south. We kept going east-west. These are some things that are going to help them down the road, but I think it's really important to know who's going to get that last shot. You know, for me, I was like, throw it to Kyle. And how are we going to get her the ball, whether it's zone or man?
And I think what they learned is that pressure on the perimeter. There were a few turnovers that were late in the game that caused Stanford to get back into the game. So being able to, when you see attack the pressure, you always want to attack the pressure and have that person, you said it, where's the middle? So someone rotate middle.
Well, and you faced that, and when teams come up and press, and it was really, I would have nightmares about the press offense if I was Trisha Cullip. They had to get the ball to the middle, but they kept throwing it behind them.
Right.
You have somebody parallel, but you never want to throw the ball behind. You want to advance the ball.
I do want to say it's been a great season for Stanford and may not be over. We'll see what happens right now. Charlie Cream has them in his first 4 out. There are some other teams in the bubble that are playing today or the next day, and we'll see how things shake out. Coach, you want a word on that?
They are such a young team. They are really going to be a problem next year. They do lose a couple of key pieces, but that young group of freshmen, they're just going to be really good going down the road.
Been really fun to watch. Meanwhile, the journey continues here for